for you.
From Royal Communications Incorporated, good afternoon and welcome to King's News Broom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Today is Tuesday, February 24, 2026, and I'm Shemon Dia presenting. In the headlines, Liberia Revenue Authority Commissioner General accuses National Legislature of passing unfavorable concession agreements. Double Jala calls for changes in current concessions legal frameworks. CDC Secretary General alarms government alleged plot to incriminate and ban former President George Weah participation in the 2029 elections. Jefferson Koji highlights clandestine amendment to Title II of the Criminal Procedure Law to target Weah. And also the news this afternoon, aggrieved employees of Phoebe Hospital in Bon County shut down hospital's facility in accelerated strike action. Protester spokesperson Peter Yala vows to continue demonstration until their concerns are addressed. Away from home, Chad closed its eastern border with Sudan until further notice on Monday, saying the move was needed to stop repeated incursions by Sudanese armed groups. The youngest son of Zimbabwe's late former President Robert Mugabe has been formally charged with attempted murder at a brief appearance in a South African court. These plus the news bulletin, voices of those making the news out of package. But take a short break to be right back. Welcome back. At this juncture, we join Kwame Brown with the news bulletin.
Liberia Revenue Authority Commissioner General Dobo Jala has blamed the National Legislature for what he called unfavorable concession agreement signed between Liberian government and concessionaries. According to him, the current mineral development agreements enacted by lawmakers of the operations of concession companies are not sustainable and hurtful for the country. The LRA boss, who also called for reform of concession companies, MDA said moving away from the current legal framework will help in addressing key issues and positively impact the economy. He made a session last week, Thursday, when he appeared before members of the House of Representatives to provide status update on the Kavada Resources former BHP bulletin, including the company's tax obligations to the government. The Coalition for Democratic Change Secretary General Jefferson Koji has accused the executive branch of government of secretly submitting what he called criminal and dangerous instrument to the national legislature to target former President George Weah. According to Koji, the alleged grand conspiracy is intended to ban former President Weah from contesting the 2029 elections. Koji allegations contained in a post made on his official Facebook page on Monday highlighted that a so-called amendment of Title II of the Criminal Procedure Law was made under the cover of darkness. The CDC Secretary General added that the instrument was submitted under what he described as deceptive banner of anti-corruption reform, a bill he argued is meant to tear down the walls that protect citizens from political persecution. He cited that instrument that bill removes meaningful limitation periods and weakens protections against self-incrimination, something he noted creates a weapon of convenience in the hands of those who fear the verdict of the Liberians. Koji further disclosed that well-placed intelligence was furnished has furnished him with all necessary duties of the alleged covert operation, stating that the government plans has finally been exposed. Tensions have intensified at Phoebe Hospital in Bond County following a stern warning from the Ministry of Health to the aggrieved health workers to immediately return to work amid ongoing labor unrest. In a statement issued over the weekend, the ministry warned the striking employees that failure to immediately resume duties would result in dismissal. The warning further indicated that the Civil Service Agency would be engaged to take administrative action against workers who continue to defy the directive. Despite the Ministry of Health directive, the hospital staff have escalated their protest by locking the hospital's premises after negotiations with members of the hospital's board reportedly ended without agreement. The action has effectively disrupted normal operations at the major referral facility in Bond County, raising concerns about parents' well-being at the hospital. Head of the aggrieved health workers, Peter Yala, said they would not return to work, neither allow anyone work until their demands are addressed properly. He added that health workers cannot continue to serve under conditions that undermine their dignity and safety, adding that their current salaries do not reflect the rising cost of living and the risks associated with their duties. Yala also accused Jonathan Peewee, Peter Belawo, an administrator of the hospital, of having no regard on the workers. He added that Peewee treats staff in a manner they consider as demeaning and disrespectful. University of Liberia's campus-based students' unification parties has vowed to campaign against President Joseph Boakai' second term bid if his administration fails to renovate and modernize the university's campuses. Addressing journalists Monday during the first major press conference of SOUP, new chairman Odysseus Moriba, he described the Boakai Kone administration as the worst regime in the history of the country. According to Moriba, under the Unity Party-led government, youth unemployment has skyrocketed, adding that economic opportunities remain unreachable for young people. Also, commenting on government reports of macroeconomic growth and a national budget exceeding $1 billion, Moriba dismissed what he described as numerical generalizations, insisting that economic gains must result in affordable electricity, lower commodity prices, accessible healthcare, and sustainable job creation. The SOUP new chairman also noted that under the Buckeye's administration, the Liberian National Police has become death trap for ordinary citizens, especially those speaking against bad governance. He further called on professionalism, accountability, and respect for human rights. Mosquito County District Number 5 Representative Priscilla Cooper has blasted residents of her district over what she called their usual embarrassment and begging attitudes. She also warned against residents asking her to pay their family's hospital bill and other personal expenses. Representative Cooper added that on many occasions she has received direct calls from individuals in her district to provide them direct help due to floods. She noted that many times several men have been seeking her assistance for their pregnant women. According to her, she cannot continue addressing the needs of individuals, adding that if that would result to the citizens voting her out, it's up to them. The chief executive officer of the Liberia Labor Governance Alliance, George Tengbe, has sharply responded to a publication made by the Ministry of Labor which labeled him as an impersonator seeking to damage the reputations of Labor Minister Councillor Kopo Kura. In the Monday's editions of the Labor Journal, a newspaper operated by the ministry, the entity described Tengbe as an attention seeker who lacks adequate knowledge of labor administration and practices. However, responding to the publication in Monrovia on Monday, Tengbe termed the ministry's characterization of him as irresponsible and very baseless. He accused the ministry's deputy communication director, E. Frederick Bay, of using the government-run newspaper as a platform to target and silence critical voices advocating against poor labor practices. Tengbe further criticized Bay's conduct, adding that his actions have undermined the integrity of the Liberian media and negatively impacted various government institutions. The mother of the three minors allegedly murdered by their grandmother in Menatown, Nemba County, has broken silence over the incident, describing it as deeply heartbreaking. On Sunday, February 22nd, the Liberian National Police announced the arrest of a 61-year-old woman identified as Mary G. in connection with the three minors' deaths. The victims' bodies were reportedly discovered at the suspect's residence. Speaking to journalists Monday in Nemba County, the deceased mother recounted that she left the children in good health under the care of the accused while she went to visit her boyfriend in a nearby town. According to her, upon returning home, she discovered the lifeless bodies of her children lying in the living room with visible injuries to their necks. She further alleged that the suspect has been associated with witchcraft activities, claiming her children may have been used as sacrifices. The bereaved mother also emphasized that the incident has left her traumatized and is calling for justice as authorities continue their investigation into the matter. The local authorities of Town in Konobo District, Grand Jide County, are calling on the national government to the ministries of education to urgently reopen the Banglo public school to improve learning opportunities for children in the area. According to them, the government-run institution has been abandoned for nearly 10 years, noting that the prolonged closure has created serious barriers for children who are of school-going age and eager to begin their academic journey. In separate remarks, the townships and youth president of Bawe Town highlighted lack of teachers at the institution, which they say has forced many children to migrate to Zweju City in search of education. Less fortunate families in the area are unable to afford the move, leaving several children without access to primary schooling. The authorities described the situation as total neglect and a denial of their children's right to education. They are now appealing to the national government to swiftly intervene and reactivate the school before more children exceed the required age of primary education. And the administrator of Creative Voice Ministries International, Alice Kwekwe, calling on Christians across Liberia to be very sincere in service of God by demonstrating generosity as done by Jesus Christ. Speaking during programs marking the church's 16th anniversary in Painesville, Minister Kwekwe emphasized the importance of caring for the needy, particularly the elderly, widows, and other vulnerable members of society. She noted that supporting the needy is a fundamental Christian principle that should be practiced by all churches and believers. According to her, Christians must develop a conscious awareness of the need within the communities and take practical steps to bring relief, hope, and joy to those who are struggling.
Kwame Brown with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's Newsroom. A reminder you're listening to King's Newsroom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories are following this afternoon. Liberia Revenue Authority Commissioner General accuses national legislature of passing unfavorable concession agreements. The Bojala calls for changes in current concessions legal framework. CDC Secretary General alarms government alleged plot to incriminate and ban former President George Weah participation in the 2029 elections. Jefferson Koji highlights clandestine amendment to Title II of the Criminal Procedure Law to target Weah. Right ahead of us, aggrieved employees of Phoebe Hospital in Broom County shut down hospital's facility in accelerated strike action. Protester spokesperson Peter Yala vows to continue demonstration until their concerns are addressed. Away from home, Chad closed its eastern border with Sudan until further notice on Monday, saying the move was needed to stop repeated incursions by Sudanese armed groups. The youngest son of Zimbabwe's late former President Robert Mugabe has been formally charged with attempted murder at a brief appearance in a South African court. We'll take a break to be back with voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. Liberia Revenue Authority Commissioner General Dobo Jala has blamed the national legislature for what he called unfavorable concession agreement signed between the Liberian government and concessionaires. According to him, the current mineral development agreements enacted by lawmakers for the operations of concession companies are not sustainable and healthy for the country. The LRA boss, who also called for reform of concession companies MD8, said moving away from the current legal framework will help in addressing key issues and positively impact the economy.
But there's a point, Mr. Speaker. Yes. The LRA boss made some exceptions. When you work in an expert environment, mind you, lawmakers may not be expert in different fields. And here we vote, everybody vote counts. The question I ask Mr. Jala is that knowing what you know from tax administration, from different jurisdictions also, are you satisfied with the amount of monies that we're getting as taxes for these companies? Will you have re-signed?
Let's still bring in a commissioner. Okay, go ahead.
If you don't mind, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Spo, let me rephrase that question to say, what would I rather see done differently to be able to uphold and protect the interests of this country? Let's go away from the current mineral development framework that we have in this country. We should move away from that. And this is a point I've expressed as a citizen of this country in many of our meetings. The Minister of Mines will bear me out on that. Okay? We need to move away from the current framework for concessioning our natural resources. It's not sustainable, and I don't think we're getting as much as we will get if we were to change the framework. That is my view.
Liberia Revenue Authority Commissioner General Dobo Jala speaking when he appeared before members of the House of Representatives to provide status update on the Kavada Resources, formerly BHP Billiton. Tensions have intensified at Phoebe Hospital in Broom County following a stern warning from the Ministry of Health to aggrieved health workers to immediately return to work. In a statement issued over the weekend, the ministry warned the striking employees that failure to immediately resume duties could result in dismissal. The warning further indicated that the Civil Service Agency will be engaged to take administrative action against workers who continue to defy the directive. Despite the ministry directive, the hospital staff have escalated their protest by locking the facility's premises After negotiations with members of the hospital's board reportedly ended without agreement, head of the aggrieved health workers, Peter Yala, said they would not return to work, neither allowed anyone to work until the demands are addressed properly.
If I want to do anything I was saying about the president, I can't do nothing. So we say we're waiting for the CSA boss to come. But he's still passing around. He's sucking weapon. He said we stupid, we don't know. We had a meeting on the people. When I met him the last night, told me, yeah, he said, you are a figure, even if I'm a figure, I've been appointed by people as the chairman, we're working. Look here, you represent the president here. We can't get respect you. We say quietly, we have meeting with you. After the meeting, so what he did, you went there as a staff officer, you talked to him in a party member. The superintendent told her that you're not going to be here for me. To allow the people work. I even told the patient, I said, nobody will hammer you. That for your business, we're working here. You can see the video. I said, we got a some police commander that came here yesterday and talked to her. We listen to them. But he's still there. He's sucking record, trying to bring a partner. We are not getting people to go and give to be here to work. It could be my man. Now I understand when my man said they will bring her to the hospital. So we can't call no. We are only telling the board. The board said the people were employed by the military church. But government paid them. They will say government is a higher agent. Government helping everybody. So we don't want no. Reject these people so we can be in peace. We have received our administrator was a good, it was more good with weaponry. They not brought to play on board. But he, the whole problem of NSC is Geneto. It doesn't respect any worker. Geneto told me the last time that if I don't fire you, when I die, if I say when I move by here, my mother door. When you see good, the one mother passing is something we can't go to jump behind a man's spot. You can't do it. So these are the things that he's doing. The other people who got down on them, they are very tough. They don't get anything. Even the medical doctor got all away. When we talking to Casey, but when the superintendent talk, she slow her car. The adding SRL, the man left and not here. But you know, when you continue taking people, he's telling your man and he's sucking off, telling all we are figuring out. That I have that degree. That I have that big police commander. Well, but the banana attack the government, that's all over. The 17 I take it, I need it, I got the people dying. You see the thing, you see the girlfriend, you see the money, and you see the son. I see that. I see that.
Head of aggrieved workers of Phoebe Hospital in Bon County, Peter Yala. University of Liberia campus-based Student Unification Party has vowed to campaign against President Joseph Boakai's second term if his administration fails to renovate and modernize the university's campuses. Addressing journalists Monday during the first major press conference of SUP new chairman Odishad Moba, he described the Boakakon administration as the worst regime in the history of the country. According to Moba, under the Unity Party-led government, youth unemployment has skyrocketed, adding that economic opportunities remained unreachable for young people.
The Vanguard Unification Party demands the federal government to renovate the University of Liberia. We deserve modern facilities, the beautiful buildings, as well as qualified lecture. If the federal government cannot renovate the University of Liberia, as well as adhere to its agenda for the upliftment of the people, the Vanguard Unification Party will not hesitate to rally a concerted effort to make Boakai a one-term president. The president of the country cannot be constructing $1 million retirement mansion in Lopa. One country university student attend a university that look at a degenerated horse in a war zone. From 1970 to present, the party has maintained consistent and persistent in confronting dictators, tyranny, corruption, nepotism, cronyism, and blameless government. Reason that justifies our existence is a cost we are prepared to die for. We are in an era of administrative backwardness where the Boakai government has failed to rescue our people. In 2023, Mr. Boakai and his colleague campaign on the basis of rescuing the country. Today, property is breaking the faces of the people. The standard of living that Republic has reached an unspeakable point, and the way out remains elusive. Prices are skyrocketing. Unemployment is the face of the regime. Unstable electricity. Parents cannot afford to pay their children's tuition. Hospitals lack drugs. Our people dying from curable diseases. Boakai, the sleeping president and downright liar from Wasonga, is a dishonored preacher and a fake bastard deacon. He lies to a thief about development, but the material condition of the people remains deplorable. Yes, reckless old man, this presidential pretender and chief priest of bad governance in Meswu is the standard bearer of political failure and national calamity. The economy is a fiasco. The government boasts about macroeconomic stability, but the reality shows otherwise. The first and most glaring contradiction of the Boakai administration is the squaring of gap between projected economic growth and the material reality of human survival. As we enter the 2026 fiscal year cycle, the ruling elite and their master at the IMF brag about GDP growth projection of 5%, celebrating $1 billion budget as a milestone of progress. However, fellow Liberians, this numerical generalization is an intellectual fraud towards student leaders, advocates, and the masses of the Liberian people. The Liberian National Police, under the leadership of Gregor Como, has turned into a killing machine, killing people, citizens, infecting wounds on student individuals who are exposing themselves within the Bagaku administration.
Mobile also criticized what he characterized as selective justice and a slow pace in addressing accountability for past national conflicts. He stressed that the rule of law must be applied equally to all citizens, regardless of political status or affiliation.
Fellow Liberians, today we are somewhere here to intervene in history. We come here to announce that after having finalized our constitutional processes by electing a 34-point president committee of the Vanguard Education Party, the party reaffirms its own abetting and persistent resolve to advocating for the suffering masses of our people. The Revolutionary Vanguard Education Party remains the voice of the youth and students in the hope of the masses. The federal government and fellow Liberian people, the narrative calling for accountability mutated into a loud sound on science for the simple reason that the Wasonga liar wants to enrich himself at the expense of Liberian people. We have endured almost 3 years of this administration, yet those who support state resources walk away with impunity. The answer recovery team is a toothless bulldog. In the Ministry of Justice is an incompetent branch of government. The budget regime is eating itself. The significant portion of the budget used to pay for salary. A few individuals on the basis of political passion. Lawmakers make thousands of dollars for doing nothing on a budget. Our legislator is noted for violating the rule of law. A government that has 2 speakers bring down the Capitol building, expending taxpayer money for SB rehabilitation, is the most disgusting government in the history of this country. The establishment of war transport seems to be another charade. Mr. Parker has exhausted half of his tenure. Will now be intimidated. We will continue to protect the interests of the students and the master of the Liberian people.
So, Chairman Odysseus Moba, they're speaking during his first press conference. Monserrado County District 5 Representative Priscilla Akupo has blasted residents of her district over what she called their usual embarrassment and begging attitudes. She also warned against residents taking or asking her to pay their families' hospital bills and other personal expenses. Representative Cooper added that on many occasions she has received direct calls from individuals in her district to provide them with direct help due to floods and other hazards.
When you're raining, the water can you even know water in my own. You come in and now go there, you say a wicked woman. You the time you were sleeping with your woman, boy. Your woman in the hospital, you said I want wicked according on. How you expect me to just say because you had 9 months to know that your woman was deliver. And whereby you come in one day, you say my woman in the hospital can't go pay a hospital bill. I'll go there, you say we get 2029 coming. 2029 make it come. So we can see all the tolerant will bring so we can fight. That human being can make people win. All the weapons you say you can. And I war from, we will show tangible. When it comes to intellectualism, we will bring it forward. When it comes to the debate, we will bring it forward. Only thing when you resort to insult and honor that they will know you weak, so we can talk to you. But bring the issue, let's debate it. Bring the issue. What thing I know you will not say, this woman, if you say I EF, you just not use that word. If you say, what thing you will not say, the woman you know what to say, I want that lie. If you can't get nothing from nobody, when you're having conversation or debating issues with people, they should be able to bring something that you will learn from. If nothing is there, don't waste your energy. Nothing. If we're supposed to go there, we're not scary. You bring all the tolerate, we will stand up. Not afraid of nothing.
Monserrado County District 5 Representative Priscilla Cooper, they're speaking. Every Monday, you're listening to King's News Broom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories following this afternoon, Liberia Revenue Authority Commissioner General accuses National Legislature of passing unfavorable concession agreements. Double Jala calls for changes in current concessions legal frameworks. CDC Secretary General alarms government alleged plot to incriminate and ban former President George Weah participation in the 2029 elections. Jefferson Koji highlights clandestine amendment to Title II of the Criminal Procedure Law to target Weah. Aggrieved employees of Phoebe Hospital in Bond County shut down hospital's facility in accelerated strike action. Protester spokesperson Peter Yella vows to continue demonstration until the concerns are addressed. Away from home, Chad closed its eastern border with Sudan until further notice on Monday, saying the move was needed to stop repeated incursions of Sudanese armed groups. The youngest son of Zimbabwe's late former president Robert Mugabe has been formally charged with attempted murder at a brief appearance in a South African court. We'll take a break to be back with more voices, including our foreign news. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The Chief Executive Officer of the Liberia Labour Governance Alliance, George Tengbe, has sharply responded to a publication made by the Ministry of Labour, which labeled him as an impersonator, seeking to damage the reputation of Labour Minister Councillor Kupo Kra. In the Monday's edition of the Labour Journal, a newspaper operated by the ministry, the entity described Tengbe as an attention seeker who lacks adequate knowledge of labor administration and practices. However, responding to the publication, Tengbe termed the ministry's characterization of him as irresponsible and baseless. He also accused the ministry's deputy communications director, Frederick Bade, of using a government-run newspaper as a platform to target and silence critical voices advocating against bad labor practices.
These allegations are not just what I call useless, but they are allegations that makes no sense. So if you want to say that my advocacy is politically motivated, let me be on record. You see, this paper, Labour Journal, is owned by the Deputy Communication Director at the Ministry of Labour. Also, Mr. E. Patrick Day, as you see here in this paper, is the managing editor for this paper. All of the stories in this paper are 95% in coherence with the Ministry of Labour function. So this is a political paper. So every story in this paper makes no sense to the actual working class of Liberians. Also, let it be known, in this paper, Mr. Day said, I am impersonating. How am I impersonating? Your paper here is a paper that is political. Also, there is a conflict of interest. You using government resources, you are a contractor. He is not an employee. You understand that his name has been submitted to the CSA allegedly by the Minister for Employment, even though he has reached the pension age, he is 65 years old. Any attempt to send his name to the CSA for Employment is another burden you are on government. There are qualified people, contractors, more qualified than him. This is a man who don't even have a WAS certificate. Allegedly, he was denied visa at the U.S. Embassy for WAS certificate. This is the same man who has no degree. There is no graduating class he can point to say, I graduated from the institution at this time. Now, I'm going to get to the issue. What am I? Recently, I talked about 15 months of unpaid wages for contractor money to sponsor a project or a newspaper at the expense of taxpayers. Is that not conflict of interest? So who is really impersonating? That is the big question. We also know that he has done some dubious things and he has put together people in this country carrying on some dubious crime. We know how he has antagonized the print media in our country. There are international journals and papers that we have read, research, we have copies about this effect today. So we know this man, we know this character, and like I said,
Chief Executive Officer of the Liberia Labour Governance Alliance, Josh Tengbe. The mother of the three minors allegedly murdered by their grandmother in Town, Nimba County, has broken silence over the incident, describing it as deeply heartbroken. On Sunday, February 2, the Liberia National Police announced the arrest of a 61-year-old woman identified as Mary Gia in connection with the three minors' death. The victims' bodies were reportedly discovered at the suspect's residence. Speaking to journalists Monday in Nimba County, the deceased mother recounted that she left the children in good health under the care of the accused while she went to visit her boyfriend in a nearby town.
Happy brother, I think what yesterday he was standing in the front of in the front push. As he told me, I go in the world now. I open my own door, I saw the children.
So many of our big brothers slept in the house with the children.
They slept in the other.
But you really not tell anything. You didn't tell anything about maybe something
I
happened.
was shouting now. I said, what happened to my children? We all try to get the child. I told her to bring on the plaza for Nico. I just dropped on the plaza. I started crying. My party for free. He said, yeah, he was under my party. That money coming asking me, I said, what happened? I said, go check inside there.
So your party is sleeping in the house always?
I'm checking yesterday in the face of it.
Yes. How you know what thing you're doing? So is it businessman? What thing you're doing?
My father.
So I want to answer something. Your car and your man. Confess or what? She said she don't wish. What she said exactly? So like you remember some of the things she said.
She said she can't let that go. I just say very, very sorry for me. I don't know what to do.
Say it, yeah. Say it, yeah.
Very, very sorry to me.
Okay.
I don't know what to do.
People around now, you want justice, you want to investigate to bring, the person that do it. I just want to know the person so that I can find okay on the act. Okay. What justice?
Mother of the three Manons who were reportedly murdered by their grandmother in Mallet Town, Neighbor County. The local authorities of Bower Town in Konobo District, Grangeda County, are calling on national government through the Ministry of Education to urgently reopen the Banglaw Public School to improve learning opportunities for children in the area. According to them, the government-run school has been abandoned for nearly 10 years, noting that the prolonged closure has created serious barriers for children who are of school-going age and eager to begin the academic journey.
2017, 15 to 17, up to this year. Okay. And at the time, we were here from the 15, 16, 17 age. One of the big reasons, because we got few children here. Okay. In Western, you have to get to the schedule. But we got majority of the students in Western. But then later, we went so far, we brush around that building. So everybody will come together. But there was no understanding to the other town sent all their children to Zwedru. So that was the major reason see the school down. The big men there to send instructor here, whether they are 10, 15 children at least, so they'll continue. Because it is elementary. They're not getting here to send their children in time again. They just sitting now in Igbo. Okay. But some that get here, they send the other children to Zwedru. James Gay, Bawestown.
Okay.
I go. So I want for you to please help us to open a school.
Okay.
And so we're going to go here for us to send our children in Swedru.
Okay.
So they are opening. We want for you to open a school for us. Our children go to school. It make me no feedback. I am talking now. It make me no feedback. We can't get here to send my child.
Local authorities of Bower Town in Konobo District, Grangeda County, they're calling on national government through the Ministry of Education to reopen the Bower Public School to improve learning opportunities for children. The administrator of Creative Voice Ministries International, Alice Kwekwe, is calling on Christians across Liberia to be very sincere in service of God by demonstrating generosity as was done by Jesus Christ. Speaking during programs marking the church's 16th anniversary in Painesville, Minister Kokwe emphasized the importance of caring for the needy, particularly the elderly, widows, and other vulnerable members of society.
This is the Creative Voice Ministries International celebrating her 16th year anniversary. And as part of her celebration, she has decided as a church to donate to the community service for the old folks, giving them these bags of rice as a donation for this celebration. Thank you, sir. This is the very first time we are taking on this project. The very first time in the church history for the past 16 years. We saw the need of the people. Let us remember that it is part of Christian principle, Bible principle to give to the needy. And as a church, we saw the need of the people, of the old folks in the neighboring community of Creative Voice that is located in Samuel Down community. These people are not members. We have members in the church who live in these neighboring communities like Isikiam community, Bassa Town community, and Samuel Down community. Invited their old folks that needs this donation. What makes this program unique is that we have decided to embark upon our first project of distributing this rice, caring to the needs of the people in this community. I just want to tell the Christian community that as Christians, we should always have the eyes to see the needs of people in the community because we were meant to show the example of Christ.
Administrator of Creative Voice Ministries International, Alice Kwekwe, there speaking. Away from home, Chad closed its eastern border with Sudan until further notice on Monday, saying the move was needed to stop repeated incursions by Sudanese armed groups. A government spokesperson said the decision aimed to protect citizens, but added that exceptional exemptions, strictly justified by humanitarian reasons, may be granted with prior authorization from the relevant authorities. The closure was announced after heavy fighting erupted in the border town of Al-Tinan between Sudan's Rapid Support Forces and local fighters aligned to the Sudanese army. And the youngest son of Zimbabwe's late former President Robert Mugabe has been formally charged with attempted murder at a brief appearance in a South African court. Balemin Mugabe, 28, was arrested last week after a 23-year-old man was shot and injured at a property in Up Michael suburb of Johannesburg last Thursday. He was then taken into custody alongside his bodyguard. Another man has commented on the charges. Well, on that note, that's how we come to the end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we followed in the headlines. Liberia Revenue Authority Commissioner General accuses National Legislature of passing unfavorable concession agreements. Double Jala calls for changes in current concessions legal frameworks. CDC Secretary General alarms government's alleged plot to incriminate and ban former President George Weah's participation in the 2029 elections. Jefferson Koji highlights clandestine amendment to Title II of the Criminal Procedure Law to target Weah. You also heard in the news aggrieved employees of Phoebe Hospital in Bond County shut down hospital's facility in accelerated strike action. Protester spokesperson Peter Yala vows to continue demonstration until their concerns are addressed. Away from home, Chad closed its eastern border with Sudan until further notice on Monday, saying the move was needed to stop repeated incursions by Sudanese armed groups. The youngest son of Zimbabwe's late former President Robert Mugabe has been charged with attempted murder at a brief appearance in a South African court. Many thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who helped in making this edition of King's Newsroom a success. Kwame Brown brought you the news bulletin. Sam Andrews sat at control and handled the technical aspect of this edition. On behalf of the team, I'm Shemondale. I presented. Thanks for listening and watching.